Conspiracy theories or karate kicks. Intelligent discussions on the issues of the day. But tell them not to call unless they got something to say.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
What's the word for now?
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Can you tell me how?
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Will our team win? I guess it depends on what shape they're in. Home health or politics, conspiracy theories or cement bricks, intelligent discussions on the issues of the day. Tell them not to call unless they got something to say.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Man, you're really cool.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
You ain't nobody's fool.
Hello, Uncle
You live by the golden rule. When there's a fiery discussion, you supply the fuel.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Man, you're really hip.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
You don't take no lip.
Hello, Uncle Henry.
Man, you got it under control. If there's one thing you got, it's a lot of soul. All the thing we like about you, Uncle Henry, if you have a caller who's particularly pugnacious, quarrelsome, contentious, belligerent, truculent, or scathingly harsh, you simply disconnect the lines of communication. Oh, yeah. In other words, you hang up on the fool. Yeah. You're the Duke of Decorum, the Prince of Propriety, the Emperor of Excellence, the Sultan of Sensibility, and the Maharaja of Magnificence. Ba-do-do-do-do-do.
Uncle Henry.
Oh, yeah.
Come ride a little train going down the track at the junction. Woo, woo! Very cool junction. There's old Uncle Joe moving kind of slow at the junction. Woo, woo! Very cool junction. I will return.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
If you're traveling in Milton, we've got a crash with road blockage, Avalon Boulevard, south of Cyanamid Road. Also, we've got some slowing developing on Highway 59, heading south from I-10 to Gulf Shores. It's a 49-minute drive. And watch for an accident in Grand Bay on Ramsey Road, just north of I-10. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll share the story of how the greatest ditch in the world came to be. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Money. That's money. Enter it now at newsradio710.com. The Uncle Henry Show. Weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. You're listening to the Uncle Henry Show. Once again, here we are together, me and you, trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on in the world around us? Really, what is going on? Now, there was some good stuff going on this weekend. I went up to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I saw Alabama get an electrifying victory over Tennessee. Roll Tide Roll. I'll get to that later in the show. There's a lot to get to, and it was magnificent. It truly was. It was electrifying. Yes, confirmed. I was there. There was electricity in the air. But we'll get to that later. First, we have other things to talk about here on the Uncle Henry Show. We had the No Kings protest over the weekend. All over the country, people going out into the streets to declare that there be no kings in this country. Now, I'm more confused now than ever before. But after seeing what I saw in the news with these folks, these people getting out into the streets of our country, I'm more confused than ever before about what this is all about. First, let me go to a voicemail message. I've got a longtime listener who phoned in about the No Kings protests that went on all over the country, including the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, Henry, this is, let me see. When you had the morning show, I used to call you a lot more than I do now that you got the afternoon show. I used to go by the handle AM.
Okay.
You probably don't remember me, but what I called about today was I can't hardly believe there's that many idiots in Mobile. As when I watched the news early Sunday morning and I saw where all those people were marching against Trump and what he was doing, it just, I can't hardly believe it. And what I want to do, if any of them people are listening, I'd like for them to call your show and just tell me, where were they at when King Biden opened our borders against the law and let criminals in our country, let diseased people come in here and spread their diseases? I want to know where they were when King Biden designated parents attending PTA meetings as terrorists and threatened them. I want to know where they were when King Biden put American citizens in jail, some of them in solitary confinement, and wouldn't allow them to have an attorney. Where were y'all at? And where were you at when he fired people in the military for not getting that bogus virus shot? I want you people to call in and tell me, you bunch of idiots, brainless, communist, Marxist idiots. Sorry about that, Henry. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Thank you. AM, thank you for your voicemail that you left over the weekend. I appreciate your questions. These are questions that many people would love to have answered by one of the very interesting people, eccentric people that were out there at the No Kings protest. Now, I mentioned I'm more confused than ever before. Now, there's a story. I know you've heard this already. Fox 10 has been reporting it. Lagniappe, the newspaper Lagniappe, has been reporting it. A woman in Fairhope was at one of these protests. Yes, even in Fairhope, where you'd think that things were good enough that you wouldn't need to get out into the streets. But there were people in Fairhope in this No Kings thing. And a woman, a 61-year-old woman. Now, when you're past 60, you ought to know better about a lot of things. 61-year-old woman arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and resistant arrest because she was out protesting, according to the Fairhope police, wearing what they described as a phallic costume near the Baldwin Square Shopping Center. Now, this was a woman, an adult woman, dressed in a costume that looked like a man's blanchial organ. Yes, somebody was out in the streets wearing a costume in front of everybody to see, and the costume was to look like a man's blanchial organ standing up there. Now, what is the point? Are you trying, when you're out here in your protest, And by the way, I'm not against protests. I mean, American history's been filled with protests. I'm not against protests. I don't like violent ones. Now, when you're out there dressed as a giant male blankual organ, now are you thinking to yourself, I know I will persuade are you trying to change my heart on this? Are you trying to persuade your fellow citizens that you're right? That we're wrong? That those of us that voted for Donald Trump, we're wrong. We're just wrong. Are you trying to persuade me that I'm wrong? Are you trying to get my attention so that I will pay attention to your efforts and go and see what you're saying and think to myself, you know what? Maybe President Trump really is being too forceful. Maybe he shouldn't make all these executive orders. Maybe he should just do this and do that. Maybe they're right. Do you think that you dressing like a man's sexual organ in the streets of our country, where all little children and everybody can see it, do you think that this is going to cause me to stop and reconsider my opinions and think that I'm going to think you must be onto something? You know what? This 61-year-old woman thought that it was important enough to dress obscenely as a gigantic male organ. Maybe I need to find out how she votes. Maybe I need to go along with her. She might be onto something. She's dressed like a giant man's organ. Maybe she's onto something. Maybe I need to listen to her. Maybe I've been wrong all these years and she's right. Because look, she's dressed like a giant male blankual organ. Is that what you're thinking? Because that was not my first reaction. That wasn't. My first reaction was, wow, 61-year-old? A 61-year-old is dressed like a man's blankual organ. Maybe a straitjacket, a drug test, some type of counseling we need to That's what I thought. What am I missing? I'm missing something. Because this was not, you're not persuasive dressed as a giant male organ.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
And if you're traveling in Milton, we've got a crash with road blockage, Avalon Boulevard, south of Cyanamid Road. Also, we've got some slowing developing on Highway 59, heading south from I-10 to Gulf Shores. It's a 49-minute drive. And watch for an accident in Grand Bay on Ramsey Road, just north of I-10. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Our American Stories.
This is Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode,
YouTube viewers, hello to YouTube people. 68-year-old Chris of West Loxley, hello to you. Bama Big Man, Excalibur Iron Force, hello to you. Rick Henry, hello to you. JD, Sharon of Fairhope, Tarzan. Tarzan, there's no room for Tarzan, is there, in modern life? Is there? We've lived past the effectiveness of Tarzan, haven't we? Is there any way that story could ever be represented to modern audiences? I don't know that it can. Can it? You tell me. Timmy Watkins. Hello to Timmy Watkins. "68-year-old Chris, there will be," yes. And we'll get into football later in the hour. Now, JD, I didn't take into account changing the Tarzan story But I guess you could change it in a lot. You could pervert Tarzan and make him appropriate for today's perverted times, where a political protest would include someone dressed as a blankual organ. All right, let's see. Weird news story. I saw a fun, weird news story today. There was in India. Yeah, I think it happened in India. A 74-year-old man in India who was a Indian Air Force veteran, respected in his community. He was curious about how many people would show up at his funeral. So he decided, and I'm sorry about the bright lights in my face. It'll be gone in a day or two. Doctor says it'll wear off soon. Anyway, 74-year-old man in India, respected Indian Air Force veteran. He wanted to know how many people were going to show up at his funeral, so he decided to fake his death to find out. And he got a few of his relatives to spread the word that he had died. And they held the funeral. Several hundred people showed up, and he was happy with the turnout. So he sat up in his casket. Now, because people would get mad, he had a feast. He to apologize to everybody, he threw a giant feast at his funeral. Now, can you imagine having that kind of ego that you would want to know that bad? It sounds like something that would be in a good movie, I guess. 74-year-old faking their own funeral.
Stories on our next episode. We'll share the story of one of the most legendary fights in congressional history and how it brought about a ban on dueling. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Roll Tide. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show. 5:20. We have news headlines coming up in 10 minutes. If you'd like to call the show, you can. 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. So we had the No Kings protests across the country. In Fairhope, you had a 61-year-old woman get arrested for wearing an obscene costume in public, where this woman was dressed in a giant suit that made her look like a male blankual organ. Yes, a human-sized male blankual organ. Now, this is this what if you're a top Democrat, are you glad of this? Are you glad that people are out protesting in giant male blankual organ costumes? Because this is not going to change votes. I mean, this does not, I don't see this and go, wow, they must be making an important point. I better listen more closely. Somebody dressed like that, I better listen more closely. No, it makes me wish that we could have an island for perverts, that we could just have whenever somebody's convicted of perversion, just send them to live on the pervert island with the perverts. That's the way it makes me think. It doesn't make me think, you know what? I better listen. The next time there's an election, I need to pay attention to these Democrats because they really might have some good points. They might have some good points. What with them dressing up like giant male organs? No, it makes me wish there was some type of pervert island for that. We could just, whenever somebody's convicted of perversion, just put them over there on the pervert island. Pervert island. Anyway, do you think the organizers of these things really think this is good? In addition to that, we had the lady arrested for dressing up as a giant male organ in Fairhope. I saw videos from around the country of people talking about how ICE agents should be shot. I saw videos of people reenacting the death of Charlie Kirk in a mocking way. You're not persuading me to vote Democrat. You're not intimidating me. You're just making me wish that there was some better way of dealing with people that have mental illness. That's all you're making me do. I'm trying to understand what the point of that was Saturday, other than maybe mentally ill people getting together and having the fellowship and exchanging recipes or whatever mentally ill people do. I don't know. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Uncle Henry.
Bert, you are live on the radio.
In just a minute, I'll get to the things you were talking about just
All right.
now.
Okay.
But your interview with Marathon Mike,
yes,
was a trip down memory lane for me, Uncle Henry, because I used to hang out at all those places he mentioned, the Met, Gordon's, and especially the Fandango Saloon, because it was right around the corner from where I was living at that time, close to Langham Park. I think I saw Grinder Switch there. I think I saw Sleep at the Wheel there. There was a local band called Gypsy that I always used to go see. And all those places were my hangouts during those days, Uncle Henry. I really enjoyed that interview.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I'm going to try to get Ron Anthony, who also worked at WABB. I'm going to get him to come in here one day because he went to all the same places and more. So we'll be walking down that lane of memory again sometime soon.
That'd be great. But these whacked out things that the Democrats are doing at these protests, it's all about getting attention, Uncle Henry. They're not trying to persuade anybody. Maybe they'd be trying to intimidate people with this mocking Charlie Kirk and all that, trying to silence the opposition when you can't win a debate. But they're just trying to get on social media with costumes like that. That's all it's about. Today it's all about the attention.
Well, yeah, and I know that Trump supporters have dressed in goofy ways too to get attention, but not like an obscene way, if you know what. This goes in a different direction for getting attention, if you know what I'm going at.
Well, it's the difference between people that respect families and respect kids and think, kids might be watching this, and the people that don't give a dang. That's what it's all about. It's almost looking like we're on the verge of Civil War II in this country, Uncle Henry. All the violence and intimidation. And
well,
I always say that they're all hoping that we're going to be unarmed when they come for us.
Well, now, I think, Bert, that there are people that would like us to be at each other's throats. That it's not as much about one side winning as both sides going at each other's throats.
Exactly. Divide and conquer.
All right. Well, Bert, anything else?
One more time, Uncle Henry, November the 7th, Blues Tavern, 4 p.m. I'm going to be playing a duet with my drummer. And I just now got word that I'm going to be playing a private party this weekend in Bay Minette.
Wow. Okay. Congratulations on that gig.
So I'm getting back in it bit by bit, Uncle Henry.
Well, good, Bert. I'm looking forward to seeing you live.
That'd be great if you could hear us, Uncle Henry. It's going to be the show of a lifetime.
All right.
Thank you for taking the call, Uncle Henry.
Thank you, Bert, for that phone call. Now, let's see. On the topic of the No Kings protests, I got another voicemail on the topic from AM.
Yeah, Henry, this is AM again. I apologize for calling back. I just wanted to make one other statement on the bozos that were out hollering and screaming this weekend. I'm not a betting man. I don't gamble and never have. But if I was a betting man, I would bet that 3/4 of those people that were out there were people who had the $150,000, $200,000 do nothing, do absolutely nothing jobs with the government that Elon Musk caught up with them, realized they wasn't doing nothing but sitting on their rear ends all day and collecting a paycheck. He got rid of them. And I imagine 3/4 of the people that were out there were those people. They need to go to McDonald's or Home Depot or Lowe's or any of the grocery stores and get them a job. Okay. It just burns me up. Burns me up. Bye-bye.
All right, AM, thank you very much. I appreciate you calling the voicemail. Voicemail number 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976 to leave a message anytime, day or night, for the Uncle Henry Show, the way that AM did about these No Kings protests over the weekend. Yeah, wouldn't it be fascinating? So we had the 61-year-old woman arrested for wearing the costume in Fairhope of a man's blankual organ. You talked about what they did. I wonder, what profession did that woman have a profession? What line of work was she in before she decided to dress as a man's blankual organ? In fact, I'd like to know so I would never be around that workplace under any circumstance.
Time saver traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Watch for an accident westbound on Brent Lane, just past I-110, heading toward North Palafox. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, it's a 9-minute drive. Also, we have congestion on Highway 59 from I-10 to Gulf Shores, a 49-minute drive. And an accident, Avalon Boulevard at Cyanamid Road in Milton. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Starbucks. The pumpkin spice latte is back at Starbucks. Handcrafted with their signature espresso and real pumpkin sauce. Then topped with whipped cream, cinnamon, and nutmeg. PSL. Get it while it's hot or iced. Only at Starbucks.
News Radio 710 WNTM.
Hello, I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. Police in Spanish Fort releasing the names from an apparent murder-suicide that happened over the weekend. The victim from Sunday's incident on the causeway has been identified as Vera Monique DuBose from Mobile. Police say her husband, Torian DuBose from Mobile, was also found dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Both were found inside a white Chevy Tahoe. Now, if you have any information about this case, call police. We are learning more about a deadly shooting in Pensacola. It happened on Langley Avenue. Police say when they got there, they found 2 people injured. They say one had been pistol whipped, the other shot. The man shot, 21-year-old Jameer Jackson, was taken to a hospital where he later died. Police say they are actively investigating the circumstances around the shooting. It was a big day for the Ronald McDonald House in Mobile as they celebrated 25 years in the port city with an open house. Now, they've spent their time providing a home away from home for families with seriously ill or injured children receiving medical treatment at local hospitals. Today, we got a chance to say thank you for those efforts. That includes to the staff, volunteers, and supporters that helped make it all happen. Now, just yesterday, the Ronald McDonald House hosted its annual family reunion. Current families and families who have stayed at the Ronald McDonald House were there. And if you're wondering if the Ronald McDonald House can help you, supporters say to just reach out. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
This is WNTM.
The Crimson Tide are on a 6-game winning streak. Alabama defeating Tennessee 37-20. That win moves the Crimson Tide up to number 4 on the AP Top 25. Meanwhile, the Tigers were knocked off in double overtime on their home field. Auburn lost to Missouri 23-17 at Jordan-Hare. Auburn coach Hugh Freeze facing questions about his future.
For fans, alumni, people of this program that care about this program, what would be your message to them that you and your staff are the right people to continue to lead this program?
We're going to come to work Monday and get our kids ready to play Arkansas. And these kids are playing their guts out, and I know that we've changed the talent level here. But at the end of the day, at some point, you have to win football games.
And UAB upset Memphis at home. The Blazers now 3-4. I'm Leah Brandon.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Fox Fox News, I'm John Saucier. We're into week 3 of this government shutdown. Senate Majority Leader John Thune on Fox Business explaining that if the shutdown continues to go on, many employees will not be able to get paid.
Whether that's air traffic control or TSA or Border Patrol, law enforcement, our troops, obviously, first and foremost. Those are all things that very shortly here are not going to get paid if we don't, the government doesn't open up.
Democratic leaders explaining they want to extend Obamacare subsidies for Americans. A man arrested after making a threat of a mass shooting at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in Atlanta. The police chief, Darren Shirebaum, announces charges against this suspect.
We have charged Mr. Cagle with a count of terroristic threats, criminal attempt to commit aggravated assaults, possession of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon.
America is listening to Fox News.
YouTube viewers going to be back on the radio here in less than 2 minutes. Let me see if anybody is watching on YouTube this afternoon. Bringing it up here on the trusty old desktop computer. Yeah, see, we've got a small number of people looking in. Chuck Greer, thank you, Chuck Greer, for bringing your maturity to the chat room. Yeah, Auburn. I looked on social media Saturday night after the Alabama game, and I saw that many Auburn fans were complaining and claiming that this is the worst era of Auburn football that they have lived through. Now, they've had some other bad times. But they're claiming it's the worst. I don't know. As a non-Auburn fan, I don't remember various times of misery. But not looking good there in Auburn for Hugh Freeze or for anyone. All right, going to be back on the radio in about 20 seconds.
Featuring an exclusive interview with John Bon Jovi.
Hi, I'm John Bon Jovi, and I'm inviting you to iHeartRadio's album preview, all in celebration of Forever, the Legendary Edition.
Listen on the free iHeart apps today's mix station, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
It says the Uncle Henry Show. It is 5:35. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. And I'd like to thank the people watching. We have a small number of people watching live on YouTube. If you'd like to look at that, go to the Uncle Henry Show channel on YouTube, and you can see me live there or look at previous live shows. Telephone number 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Hello, caller.
Afternoon, Henry. How are you today?
I'm good. Doing good. How are you doing?
Good, good. It sounds like you got a pretty intense show going on. I was going to kind of lighten the mood a minute.
Go right ahead.
I went to the South Alabama-Arkansas State game Thursday night, and South struggling, of course. We all know that. And as we were leaving, I heard a lot of conversations about it was time for Major Applewhite to go. And then a few moments later, I walked up on another crowd, and lo and behold, they're talking about what are the chances of getting Ed Orgeron to come to South and coach. And I thought that sounded pretty interesting. I mean,
yeah.
They could pull that off. I mean, they would get some people in the seats just for the Ed Orgeron show, much less if they win or lose it. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, with how it's hard to judge coaches these days like we did because of all these moves in the transfer portal and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to know, is the coach good at ball or are they lacking in terms of paying players and transfer portal? What I'm saying is it's hard for me to now judge coaches the way I used to because I'm not even sure where they might be failing and where they might be succeeding.
Yeah, and I can't remember. I mean, how long has he been gone now? 2 years, 3 years from LSU?
Yeah, I think it's been at least 3.
Yeah, so he hasn't gotten the full brunt of or was familiar with the full brunt of the transfer portal as we see it today. So
right.
That would be interesting. But I thought it was an interesting conversation, and I thought, if it kind of comes to pass, that might be pretty fun for a while in Mobile. But
well, if Mobile might have to stand in line behind others. There are a lot of coaches got fired this past weekend, so they might have to stand in line trying to get that guy.
That's true, but a lot of people in that crowd I was walking, we were talking about, that, well, he'll get to play against his cousin over at Nicholls State. He coaches at Nicholls State. It'll be a yearly thing, back and forth within the conference, and not far from Louisiana from home. They thought it might be pretty appealing to him in Mobile.
Well, maybe tell him to reach out.
Yeah, be kind of fun. You have a good one, sir.
You too. Thank you very much for your phone call. And no offense to Major Applewhite and his fans. Applewhite was at the University of Alabama with Saban. There should be some type of Saban transfer of knowledge into the head of Major Applewhite. So it may be that we just need to give him another season before you start talking about hiring in your dream coaches from other towns. So just right now, looking for the Jags to find their footing and move forward. I guess I need to get young Charlie to come in on the show and tell us what's going on, good and bad there at South. 251-479-2723, the telephone number here on the Uncle Henry Show. And let's see, speaking of football, Alabama Crimson Tide beating Tennessee, Roll Tide Roll. Really enjoyed going and being there in person for that game. Thank you to John McNeil for making that possible, of Mobile Bay Financial Solutions. What a magnificent football game that was. The atmosphere was just as great as the atmosphere has been at any Alabama game I've been to. It was really just, I struggle. As you can tell, I'm struggling to find words to convey how much fun it was to be there for that. Let me go to the voicemail because I've gotten voicemail reaction to the Alabama victory over Tennessee.
Roll Tide, huh? Well, Uncle, it's always nice when you're sitting out here on your front porch in West Loxley at 4:11 p.m. Beautiful weather. The day after a smashing of the hillbillies from northeast Tennessee. I know y'all had a good time there. My son and them had a good time also. Would have liked to have been there myself, but certain things wouldn't permit it. That's all right. It looked good on the 65-inch Samsung. And I've been going to Tennessee games since 1979, so I'm all right. Not every year, but I'm satisfied if I don't never get to attend another one. But I haven't ruled out that possibility. That was well of a ball game, brother.
Yep.
And I know y'all got your money's worth and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yep.
I certainly enjoyed it from my lazy boy rocker recliner. All right, now we beat 4. No team's ever done it. 4 straight weeks without a break, without a bye. We beat 4 top-ranked teams. Nobody's ever done it before, as I said. Now comes a road trip to an underachieving South Carolina team who would like nothing better than to upset the mighty Alabama. So 24-hour rule about to be up. Let's go get them, fellas. Roll Tide Roll.
Roll Tide Roll. 68-year-old Chris of West Loxley, thank you for your Roll Tide. You talked about us enjoying it. Yes, we did. I struggled, as you heard before, trying to describe how great the atmosphere was at that game. It was something else. I enjoyed I enjoyed going up there and coming back, too. My wife, she wanted to stay overnight in the beautiful hamlet known as Meridian, Mississippi. And so, yes, I know you're thinking, wow, y'all yes, we did. We had a wonderful night in Meridian, Mississippi. What a beautiful, beautiful spot that was. And I'll tell you my favorite thing about driving up to Tuscaloosa by way of Meridian. Driving up through rustic, rural Mississippi, I saw in the drive from Mobile to Meridian, I saw more crosses on the side of the road. Big crosses. A lot of them made out of pipe. I tell you what, it was so reassuring just seeing all those crosses. I loved it. In fact, there was one field between Meridian and Mobile. It was a wide open field, but there was a fully painted statue of Jesus Christ right near the road. Yes, not just crosses, statues of Jesus. In fact, I looked over to my right. There's a statue of Jesus fully painted. And then I looked off to my left in the distance, and there was not one cross, but 3 crosses up. I thought, this is good. I like this. I felt it just was a wonderful feeling. By the way, I saw no protesters on that drive Saturday. This was Saturday morning. Also, in the small towns that we drove through in Mississippi, more American flags than I've seen in most small towns. It was just wonderful to be in America, in the South, this Saturday for that game. Yes, indeed. So, yes, we had a wonderful time. Now, more on the, I've got more voicemail about the game that I will get to after the upcoming break here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Before I get to the break, I want to remind you that you can hear me weekdays playing country music on FM radio. I'm on 95 KSJ every weekday, Monday through Friday, between 10 and 2, playing today's hottest country. And right now, we are letting people know on 95 KSJ about a Veterans Day concert. We've got a country music artist coming to Dauphin Island for a Veterans Day concert. We're going to be raising money for Vets Recover here in Mobile. It's Dylan Carmichael. Find out more. Tickets are only $11. You can get the tickets and all the info at 95ksj.com. That's 95ksj.com for that Veterans Day concert.
710 Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design Traffic Center.
Watch for an accident westbound on Brent Lane, just past I-110, heading toward North Palafox. On Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10, it's a 9-minute drive. Also, we have congestion on Highway 59 from I-10 to Gulf Shores, a 49-minute drive. And an accident, Avalon Boulevard at Cyanamid Road in Milton. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Straight Talk Wire.
YouTube viewers, thank you for looking on YouTube. Hello to Steve. Steve! Still looking forward to doing a show with you, Steve. Pat Nelly, hello to you. Thank you for looking in. Let's see, what can I tell y'all while in the commercial break? What kind of stories can I share with you? All right, let's see. Davenport, Florida. Here's a crime story out of Davenport, Florida. Now, this sounds just about third world country to me, but you tell me, because I'm not out at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, this is this was at a McDonald's, October 12th, 3 a.m. The restaurant in Davenport was slammed with orders at 3 o'clock in the morning. Two men, Peter Story and Nicholas Jones, 19 and 18 years old. They were told at the drive-thru by the employee at the drive-thru window, Yohan Soto. Mr. Soto told them, sorry, we can't take your orders. We're just too busy now. We just can't take any more orders. Well, they got mad. The 18 and 19-year-old, Mr. Story and Mr. Jones, they got mad. So they threatened to beat Soto. In fact, they told him they were going to wait for him in the parking lot. Then they got out of the drive-thru, parked their vehicle. They walked into the lobby. This is 3 o'clock in the morning. They walked into the lobby of the restaurant and continued to argue. And they started talking about getting their guns. And they started mentioning a 30 clip and switches and things like this. So Soto, they'd already told Mr. Soto they were going to wait for him in the parking lot and beat him because he didn't take their order. So he went into the break room and went into his backpack and got his own gun. Then he went out into the lobby and a struggle ensued. The gun discharged. Mr. Story, one of the guys that threatened to beat the guy in the parking lot, he ended up shot with a non-life-threatening injury. Now, after that happened, the employee with the gun fled. Taking his gun and the shell casing from the shooting. He was charged, the employee was charged with tampering with evidence because he took his shell casing. The other two were charged with disorderly conduct and trespassing. Now, this is America. This is Florida. This is a problem that ain't going to go away until 19 and 18-year-olds learn that you can't do this. This sounds like something that would happen in a third world country to me. And why is a McDonald's open anywhere at 3 a.m. where people can walk in? That almost sounds like you want an incident to happen. All right, anyway.
Lee Habib, host of Our American Stories. On our next episode, we'll share the story of one of the most legendary fights in congressional history and how it brought about a ban on dueling. You won't want to miss the next episode of Our American Stories.
Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. This is News Radio 710 WNTM, an iHeartRadio station.
This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM. We have news headlines coming up in 10 minutes. Now, the last segment of the show talked about the great Alabama-Tennessee game and how wonderful it was for Alabama to destroy Tennessee. And yes, it was a destruction. Even at that score, that I saw the defeat that was worn by all the Tennessee fans and their team and their band. I got more voicemail on the topic. Let me go to another voicemail that came in the morning after the Alabama victory.
Henry, good roll tide morning. Henry, when I woke up today at 10:42 and 32 seconds, I knew it'd be a great day in the city of Mobile because Alabama whooped up on Tennessee last night. Henry, that was a magnificent win. Of course, my favorite part is probably everybody's favorite part. When that feller, number 2, had a pick six right when Tennessee thought they were about to score. You talk about dashing someone's dreams.
Oh, by the way, to be there in person for the reaction to that pick six was magnificent.
Henry found out that the Buford Children are rabid Alabama fans. As I have voicemailed through the years, Buford Jr. has struggled with his Alabama fandom, but I can tell you that he has overcome those struggles. It all started when he started hanging out with a bad crowd in kindergarten. There was a group of boys whose daddies were Auburn alumni, and he flirted with being an Auburn fan for a little while in kindergarten, and through your mentorships, through your radio program, I got that boy straight. But Henry, there's
Hey, before you go on, I just want to point out, I know a lot of people already know this, but kindergarten, the peer group in kindergarten is important. It is. Even at that age, little children do become similar to the people that they're spending time with, even at that age. So yes, you've got to be diligent at the daycare and at the kindergarten with your little children. This is just something you learn when the kids come home and they start talking about stuff you've never brought up in your own house. You know what I'm saying?
For a little while in kindergarten, and through your mentorships, through your radio program, I got that boy straight. But Henry, there's such rabid Alabama fans that when the Alabama-Tennessee game was over and they had promptly finished their celebratory responses to that game, they put on the Auburn game to cheer on the Mizzou against Auburn. That's right, Henry. The Buford children cheer on two teams, Alabama and whoever's playing Auburn. I tell you what, Henry, I could not have done it without the leadership and guidance of your radio program. Of course, I've made them listen to your radio program in a punitive manner since the day they were born. I did every day, every last one of them. I got 3 children, Henry, a boy and 2 girls, and every last one of them, on their ride home from the hospital when they were born, there was the Uncle Henry show in the background. Anyway, Henry, good Roll Tide morning to you, sir.
Buford, thank you for the Roll Tide morning salutations and exclamations, and thank you for indoctrinating your children by forcing them to listen to this show in a punitive way. I love the idea of younger people being punished by being forced to listen to this program. And it can be kind of like audio castor oil. You can think of it that way. You know, you may not taste good going into the ear, but you may benefit from it in the long run. It's just the way that it has worked for young people, usually people under the age of, 75 or so. But thank you, Buford, for that. And now, your children cheering on teams that are beating Auburn. We're at a point now where the Alabama economy is going to need Auburn to get good. They are now not better than Alabama, of course. That should never happen. But they do need to do better because people spend more money in this state. I've talked to businessmen and businesswomen, and they've told me the economy does better when both Alabama and Auburn are doing well. So we're at a point now for the economy's sake. We need Auburn to figure something out. I don't know if they've hired the wrong coach again for the umpteenth time or what, but we need Auburn to start winning a little bit more for the Alabama economy and for the mental health. Because we got a lot of great Auburn fans out there. They don't need to have their mental health wrecked by Hugh Freeze. So I am praying for Auburn to at least get some winning seasons under the belt. More after the break.
Fox on Tech.
Time to start touching that MacBook. For years.
YouTube viewers, thank you for looking. There's more show after the news break. But I'm turning the camera off. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening and a pleasant tomorrow.
were best left for smartphones and tablets. It appears as if they've changed their minds. While Apple officially announced its new 14-inch MacBook Pro adds faster M5 processors and more storage, Bloomberg reports a touchscreen is also added along with an OLED display. Such an addition to Apple's top model laptop is something